Today's prayer is for Valentine's Day. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the precious gift of love you have given to the world and to me. Thank you for blessing me every day with this love and power and strength that I get from you every single day. Amen.
On February 10th, for maintenance, I approved and executed a service contract agreement with James W. Ross Incorporated, doing business as Swift First Aid, to supply Geauga County offices with first aid supplies for the period of March 1st, 2023 through February 28th, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $10,000. And on February 13th, for the Department on Aging, I accepted the resignation of Natalie Dolezal, Recreation and Education Assistant, to be effective February 10th, 2023.
Okay.
And we need to approve minutes. Motion for November 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Sean, you were
Yes.
not here at this meeting, so it's up to you whether you want to.
I'll abstain.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Wonderly? You said you were abstaining?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Good morning.
Morning.
Today's financials include a cash transfer from Transit from their operating to their capital fund for projects being funded through reimbursement grants from the Ohio Department of Transportation. Among the encumbrances are travel encumbrances from Common Pleas Court to attend the National Association of Drug Court RISE 23 conference, from the Engineer's Office to attend the Ohio Department of Transportation Local Technical Assistance Program or Bridge Inspection Level 1 and 2 classes, and from JFS to attend the Ohio Council on Welfare Fraud Annual Training Conference, and then now from Emergency Services for fuel expenses from 2022 that were not previously encumbered. Among the vouchers are $50,011 from the Auditor's Office to Integrity Appraisal Services for 2023 reval and new construction property valuation assistance, and revenue certifications from Common Pleas in their automated outbound text fund for federal grant money, and from Transit in their Transit Capital Fund for additional money to be received in 2023.
Great. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Wonderly?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Okay, and then the next item is the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board amend the motion from January 31st, 2023 to correct the dollar amount to read approved and authorized the President of the Board to execute a request for partial payment number 26 for Donnelly's Independence LLC for the Geauga County Office Building for GMP Phase number 1 and 2 in the amount of $412,963.04. So the one that you did before had $421,963.04. It was just a typo. We paid the $412,963.04. We just wanted the record to reflect that.
Very good. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Wonderly?
Aye.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Very much. Want to board here?
Yes.
Hi.
Sean?
Morning. Good to see you. Thank you.
The Juvenile Public Courts requesting the Board approve and execute resolution number 23 proclaiming November 2022 National Adoption Month and February 17th, 23 as Geauga County Adoption Day. We have finalized over 22 adoptions this year, with 4 more still to go, 2 of which are scheduled to be finalized on February 17th, this Friday. We have partnered with Jackie Being Family that gives post-adoption resources to families who just adopted, as well as gifts for the children. And we also partner with Catholic Charities and the Dave Thomas Foundation.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming in. So over the years, how would you say the Geauga County, as far as adoption rates go, do you compare that at all to other counties? Do you see that? Or?
Yes, we have seen an increase through Cuyahoga County's adoption rate only because Cuyahoga is bigger than Geauga,
Sure.
but we are consistently adopting more kids throughout the years.
Very good. Well, I know you're very proactive in that, and we appreciate that. So, and appreciate you coming in today. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Wonderly?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spudler?
Thank
You
you.
were all invited on Friday to attend the Sorry, what time are we supposed to?
I can send you the email. We start at 9. We're asking for a proclamation to be read about 9:10, 9:15.
Okay, on Friday?
Yes.
Okay.
Timmy, can you sign that sheet and take it with her?
Yep,
Where you fill it
Okay.
On Friday.
Good. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning.
How are you?
Morning,
Good.
Jim.
You guys doing?
Good, great.
Today we have 2 items to present. Item number 6, County Engineer's Office is requesting the board approve and execute Resolution 23-021, order the asphalt resurfacing of Morgan Road, County Highway 26, and Leggett Road, County Highway 33, Sections D and E in Montville Township. This resolution also requests the board approve and execute the title sheet with the specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets the bid opening date on Wednesday, March 8th, 2023 at 2 p.m. Note of this bid opening will be advertised on February 16th and on the county website.
Great. Okay, so moved.
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Item 7, the county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 23-022 to order the asphalt resurfacing of Old State Road, County Highway 6, Section A, and Farmington Road, County Highway 18, Sections A through C, Parkland Township. Resolution also requests the board approve and execute title sheet specifications. And further, the resolution sets the bid opening on Wednesday, March 8th, 2023 at 2:05 p.m. Notice of the bid opening will be advertised on February 16th and on the website.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
That's it.
Great, thank you.
General?
Understood.
You
Yeah,
too.
appreciate it. Morning.
All right.
Okay, the next 4 items. So Jerry read the resignation of Natalie Dolezal earlier, and I also have a retirement resignation of Peggy Peters. She's my food and services aide, effective March 3rd. We are not going to be replacing the food and services aide position. We are going to replace that with a rec and ed assistant, so they can both work in the kitchen and also have the flexibility to program at the senior centers. So what we are looking to do is ask that you approve the change to our org chart, which would be the addition of that rec and ed position that will replace our food and services aide. We will be abolishing that position. And so we are looking to post 2 full-time rec and education assistant positions internally for 5 days, and then if we do not find a qualified applicant, we'll put it in the paper. I think I covered all of the motions, Christie.
Okay, Sue.
It will be 7 through 11.
Or
Or
8
8
through 11.
8 through 11, sorry.
Okay, I'll make a motion on 8, 9, 10, and 11.
I second that motion.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Commissioner
All
Spillier?
right.
Great, well, thank you very much.
How many employees are you down?
We have a new one, or are we down, or do we have now? So we will have the 2 full-time rec and education positions open, and that is what we have. We filled our 3 part-time positions we had posted, and our new employees starting on the 27th. I will say it has taken about 6 months to fill those positions, so it is taking, and I apologize, we have a maintenance coordinator position that we just posted within the last month. It is taking a very, very long time to fill positions if we can fill them.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Good.
Right. Department of Development, Community and Economic is requesting the board to award the bid to Kangas Realty Investors LLC for the Camp Homey Dakota Cabin Winterization Project rebid under CDBG Grant BF21-1AZ1 in the amount of $58,800. Represented the lowest of the
How many people bid it?
3.
3.
3.
And this is just for 1 year?
What do you mean for 1 year? It's for,
Winterization.
they're for P-TAC units, like similar to what you would have in a hotel. We're gonna get 12 cabins, and we're going to get too many splits in an ARC cabin. So we got our base bid, and we got both alternate also, so we did good.
Good.
Yeah,
Third time is a charm.
I know.
We have a motion
You
on
want to make the motion?
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
that?
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks so much.
Maintenance. Morning, Glenn.
Morning. First one is a contract agreement for repairs of the sprinkler systems and doing the yearly checks of where we have the sprinkler systems throughout the county. This is a 3-year period, not to exceed $20,000.
Okay, great. So move?
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spillier?
Number 14 is for the UPS unelectric power supplies units for a 2-year period. We have one at the DES, the sheriff's office, the annex, and there's a small one down at 470. This will take care of those units and keep them up.
Is there one of those in this building?
There is a UPS in this building, yes, and it's under warranty right now.
Okay,
So we'll be going out looking at that.
And is that being, so is maintenance maintaining that? Is that going to be part of this agreement?
That's not part of this agreement, no, it's still under warranty for the building.
Okay, because I just so happened to be in there and see all that, and I don't know if there was some work going on, but that filter on that particular unit, it's getting really, looks like there's a lot of, it's getting clogged up already. And I mean, it's not that old, so I don't know if there's, you may want to get with Frank, yeah.
And then check with them next time.
Yeah, because from my understanding, that UPS is only there to service just the backup for IT, right? Is that correct?
I have to check into that.
Is it doing anything else other than IT?
I have to check.
Okay, okay. Maybe check with Frank and see if you guys can figure that out, because, you know, it's only not even a year old or whatever. It looks like it's already getting dirty, so. Okay, great.
I'm with them on that.
Great. So move?
Second.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Great, thanks.
Transit. Hi, Joanne.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am just looking for, to approve and authorize the board to execute the locally funded service agreement between MRDD and myself, who transport MRDD clients by contract. And this is just so that I can accept money for payments to do so.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Nick.
Okay. Okay.
Item 16, Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve and execute service contract agreement with Workman Industrial Services Incorporated to perform emergency rehabilitation and improvements as needed at our various locations for a 1-year period effective February 14th. Today, for an amount not to exceed $15,000. We've had this a couple of years. We didn't have to use them the last 2 years, but, you know, you never know.
Okay.
What types of things would they repair on an emergency basis?
Underground piping, above ground piping, so just your industrial systems, like we're inside, that can do the repairs that we can't do.
Okay, great. So move?
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Andy.
And then we've got a acknowledged resignation of Jennifer Mulaney from the Board of Mental Health.
Okay.
Motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Her term ends June 30th of this year.
Okay.
So think of if you want to put a temporary.
Sir, how many total do we have coming up?
For this year, it was Jennifer, Mr. Claypool, and Mr. Okolich are the three that are up on June 30th of this year.
Okay.
I'd like to advertise that.
Put up, okay. All right, I will put together, normal, like, memo press release that we typically do, and then, I'll have to get the DEP that our board stuff put back onto our website, because it was taken off when I updated it. So, I'll have to get that back on there.
And then we've got ADP board request to be the 2023 budget year vote to accept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did that before.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, that I have.
Just trying to be like you.
Still budget for 27.
You'll play it for me today?
I have a claim for that. Yeah.
So, there were two components in the budget for 2023 that we submitted last March or April that were removed, or actually reduced. One was in equipment, capital equipment, and the other was in contract services. So these pages that I gave you represent those two spreadsheets of data representing the items included in each. And I understand you may have some questions. I thought we had answered some of these questions at the initial budget hearings, but items number 1 and 2, the first 1 and 2 on the priority on the left-hand side of this yellow spreadsheet, those are not in the 4010 account, so we can ignore those. However, item number 1 is to replace our existing firewall. There's actually 2 of them. Those are out of service. They cannot be updated by the vendor. They're not under any kind of service contract. And as a result of that, we need to replace those firewalls. As you know, firewalls are what blocks malicious attacks to our network, so I consider those vital. The next item, which is the second number 2 on the left-hand side, that is for a Cisco DNS protective device. The DNS is what provides our domain name services. When somebody converts a number, an IP number, to a name, that's the device that does that conversion. That also is out of service and needs to be updated. Again, I consider that a critical device.
Which one was that?
That's item number 2, the second number 2. Forget the first 2 on the list.
Cisco
Umbrella DNS. It's called Cisco Umbrella DNS Protection. Item number 3, going down from that list, that is actually a switch at DES that is obsolete and needs to be replaced. That's a normal issue. The problem with leaving these obsolete switches in place is they become vulnerable. They're no longer updated with service packs, so that they can't prevent unknown anomaly with that device so that an intruder can get in. I think that one has actually expired at the end of last year. Item number 4 is a switch in the telco center that converts a lot of the IP, voice over IP phones. That also is a critical device. That one is out of service as well. And then we have item 5, both in the Opera House, the telco room, and in the county home, we have some cabling that needs to be updated. The cabling is, as you know, categories of cabling change. It started at category 3, we're now above category 6. So we need to upgrade it. The county home, we were not intending to do that because we thought we had left that, but maintenance is in there now. So because they're in there, we need to update that cabling. That cabling is probably category 3. Which was not, it's not optimal. So there's 3 of those cablings that we need to do. Item number 6 is a actual firewall for Meraki's at post 2. That is also out of service. And then items 7 through 19 are all items relating to replacing 8 out of service servers. 8 servers that are beyond their life. They are all over the place. The servers, part of them do file management, part of them do some of our print management. They're just constantly being updated. just like any other computer, these servers have life expectancies. We tend to update the operating system until the hardware can no longer support the update. That is why those servers need to be updated. And you'll see the quantities change because different servers have different memory requirements. So some will require 4 sticks of memory, some will require 2 sticks of memory. So you'll see some odd numbers in the quantity column. They're not always 8. One is 112. That's for the memory for these devices. Item number 20 is for these gatekeeper keys. We have got an initial order that we had used from last year's budget. However, we haven't implemented these throughout the county yet. We have to order about 600 of them to do the rest of the county. We haven't even started that yet.
Does everybody in this building have that?
No.
There's about 120 countywide right now.
Yeah, we're like spread very thin. And there was a manufacturing issue, so that worked to our advantage, but we need to get this order in order to go to 25 character passwords and have a gatekeeper only keep a 4-digit code for everybody.
So we funded, okay, that was the 57.5, and then also there was a license part too that went with it,
The
right?
license is recurring.
The license is real.
Okay.
So we initially we signed the agreement with Gatekeeper, we got the initial, I think it was 120. We gave some to people to try.
Gotcha, yeah.
We deployed some in some offices, but we have to wholesale deploy these, or we're gonna have
But
constant
that won't
password.
affect this bottom line number.
No, that's,
What we talked about yesterday, we haven't released some of that funding yet out of this amount. Okay.
Item number 21 is for voice routers at the annex, the courthouse, sheriff's office, jail, this building, and DES. Those are all obsolete, out of service. I think that was one of the devices we did pull from 470 and brought here, which was probably not what we do, but we limped on those for a while. The last item is the finalization of the CPACs for going across the board to cloud-based backup services. So we're de-emphasizing tape backups. We're only going to tape back up certain critical devices, but we're no longer going to be doing tape backups, which require people to come in off shifts to start backing up computers and then archiving them in the map room in the old vault, which was the sheriff was there for a while. I don't know who's in it. There's a vault. That's where we store our tapes. It's a mechanical backup. Currently, we need to go to full cloud. And we have deployed some of that because we got money last year for it. I believe the commissioners are deployed. We've got Adrian some files in the
Yeah.
We have slowly been implementing those across the county.
Good.
So that is the capital aspect of it.
Yep.
And then on the next page are all of the contract services. So I think, Tim, you asked me the question, how much of this capital is recurring?
Right.
That's a real hard question to answer because it depends. It depends on what new projects are on the horizon. Based on what we're looking at right now at this moment in time, about only 60% of this would be reoccurring. What I didn't take into account, however, is what's happening at the courthouse. So if the courthouse project goes forward, I don't have any money built into that for any updates to the courthouse
So
system.
would they build that into their own budgets through the court? I mean, I know.
Well, they probably would,
Yeah.
but there are some, we serve that. So we have to modify some of our equipment to serve whatever they put in there that's new.
Okay.
So I'm guessing their capacity is going to be increased. Our switches may not be of the right size to be able to handle the new capacity.
Okay.
So we don't know that until we see what that final plan looks like.
Though that may be similar to how this building was done and maybe included in the actual
Cost of
cost, like the switching was done.
Bid package?
Yeah.
Yeah, some new technology. But, so the 60% roughly, obviously that's subject to change, but, so you think on an annual basis, you'll have to continue to update this and get?
Yeah, every year there's going to be capital that's going to have to be replaced.
Okay.
It's like, the county has computer fixed assets that have life expectancies. And as those evolve and as those life expectancies come to an end, we have to replace them.
So, like,
Servers are the most costly. If you
Right.
look at the numbers,
But some of those servers are going away, right?
Yeah, well, that's the
So it
goal.
should start,
Yeah,
you know.
so we've already gone from almost 200 servers to down to the 120-ish. And we like to get below 100.
okay,
There will always be some servers, but we need to get rid of any server that is not necessary, because every time that life expectancy comes up, we're paying that bill rather
That's
than
right.
just subscribing to a cloud service, and that's their problem to do.
okay.
So, yeah, that's kind of why it's hard to predict. The other thing that's hard to predict is, we anticipated 470 being dark right now. For 3 years, we planned on, last June, basically terminating 470's connection to the backbone.
What is up there right now? I mean, just for equipment. I know
Everything,
Board of
it's
Elections.
fully lit. It has to be fully lit because we have people on both sides of the parking lot. We have people on the commissioner's side, Board of Elections still, it's actually still there. They're just moving now to the county home. But across the street where the old Building 8 was, that's now being occupied by a senior center. They asked for Meraki's, which are wireless. We had to lamp it, we had to light it. So,
And, I mean, I know there's a time frame. That is not a permanent situation. They're looking to move out of there. Yeah, but as far as, plowing money back into that, the whole point of us getting out of there was to get out of there, right? So,
And have some potential savings.
yeah.
So what we did, when we originally conceived of this building going live in June of last year, we had signed an agreement with Spectrum where they could grandfather us. They said to us, hey, you're going to move basically your service to the new building, and we will give you a grandfather period. So we were able to keep it lit through December of last year for the Board of Elections under that scenario. We're on borrowed time right now. They just haven't turned us off. That's the problem. How long do we renew that contract? For a year, for 5 years, 2 years? I have no way of knowing. That's the great unknown right now. So consequently, we're not only having to light that building with internet and networking, but we have to have servers in place because BOE is still using servers, and we have to maintain those servers, and we need the switches and routers to be able to control those. So it's not a good scenario. It's not what we anticipated. We thought we would be tapering down, and I'm not seeing that happening.
Because I'm anticipating that the Board of Elections is still going to be there for the May 2nd primary.
At
Guessing.
this point, yes.
Okay. What is the holdup that they're not moving?
It's finalizing the mediation agreement. And then they can't move within 120 days of an election.
And then we did the same thing kind of in a miniature form with the county home. When you guys closed the county home 2 years ago, year and a half ago, we were going to 4 years ago?
4 or 5.
It's been, yeah, it's been.
Well, it's been on there since I've been here, so it's got to be,
It was done before I got here.
was it?
Yeah, technically.
So we were gonna make that dark, and now we're relighting it because Glenn is moving in, so hence we're throwing money at it that we didn't anticipate. I think the message is, every budget submission is a snapshot in time, and it's never ends. As soon as you provide that time frame, things change, and we have to adapt to it. So some of these things are just things that come up, changes in the plan.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I've looked at this, and I just want to take a minute to thank you for taking the time over the last few weeks to kind of walk me through this and give me a tour of all the equipment that we do have, and then talking about the future of where you'd like to take this. This, to me, this request, when you say it was taken out of the budget, it may have felt that way, but to me this is a kind of capital improvement project, the backbone investment to go leaping forward. Now, will your budget requests in 2024 and 2025 be different? Probably, nothing's getting cheaper. But this is somewhat of the big step to go in that direction. And so, my question was always, what's permanent versus one-time investment? And you've helped me, kind of answer that.
I think this capital, though, different than, I think, where I see the investment is being significant for the county, is not really in capital. I mean, these things are gonna happen no matter what.
Okay.
Servers are gonna get old, and you're gonna have to replace them. Right. And that's the bulk of this. Servers are gonna get old, you're gonna have to replace them. I think on the next page, when we talk about contract services, that's where the investment's being made.
Yeah.
That investment is what's going to reduce your server count to be able to throttle this expenditure in the future.
And that's the kicker
That's
to
what
all
you
this.
said.
Yeah, because there should be a payoff to this, right?
Yeah.
We're going, there's
Exactly.
a return.
So, these weren't removed from the budget, they were reduced from, like this, the capital was reduced from 577 to just about 57,000 bucks. It was cut by about 517,000 bucks. The second page, under the same was done with contract services. So where we asked for, contract services, 460,000, we got a small component of that. So the 460,000 are made up of the items on the second page. And those are primarily centering around cyber, all things cyber. Whether it's licensing, whether it's renewable contract, or whether it's moving existing systems to cloud-based for cyber protection. Probably the most dominant of that is New World. So as you know, we're running a 10 or 11-year-old product, and it's going to change. And I don't know that 11 years ago they ever even considered cloud-based, and probably back then they were not fond of cloud back then because of the vulnerabilities. That whole market has changed. We are going to have to invest another $150,000 to move to the cloud, but once we do, the front page load of all those servers, we have eight servers running Newark right now.
And so we'll be able to eliminate those.
So actually, if you look at the price tag, that is exactly the quantity of servers we're asking for.
Actually saving,
That's a ton of them.
Yeah.
So is it going to make our server count go to zero? No, but it's going to take 8 off the list that don't have to be
And those
replaced.
are the big ticket, yeah.
Now, you're going to offset that by paying a little more for a cloud-based service, but you're cutting people, you're cutting equipment.
Exactly.
It's a better deal. So that's why you have to look at the two kind of together, and you can't do one without the other. So the bulk of this is our cloud-based services for our backups. CrowdStrike, which is endpoint protection. So CrowdStrike is what resides on the end workstations that looks for nefarious programs being installed.
And that's in place now.
It is.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
that 97 is.
That's why, and this list is 100% removable.
Okay, yeah.
There's usually a small inflationary factor built in as well. I don't see this list going away because you have to do it every year.
Yeah.
That's the disadvantage of the cloud, just like buying Windows. You used to be able to buy a CD, and you ran it until it broke. Now you pay every year.
But you, like you said, employees that are maintaining that other, if you did it the other way,
That's right.
and you got payroll and everything else that goes
Right,
along
yeah.
with that, so, yeah.
So those are the two components.
So the budget, over the last, let's say, I don't know, 2-3 years has increased, slightly, every year. But this, what do you perceive going into, and I'm not gonna hold you to it here, but, say 2024, 2025, do you think, with these additions?
I think we're at the summit.
I mean, where are we at right now?
I think we're at the
budget?
summit. I think we're at the summit.
What's the dollar amount?
The total budget?
Yeah,
It'll be, what?
because it's like 2.1 now or
Around
something.
3.
And then this additions?
Yes, right now. it's
About 3, and that's with the 4 additional employees, so we're looking at, like, say, another $250,000?
3 additional.
Or 3 additional employees, okay. So roughly the budget, just so everybody's clear, will be potentially about $3 million. And then how many employees?
It wound up being 14.
14 employees, okay.
I guess it depends on.
Well, you got the auditor one, so we have to do a convert.
Okay,
I've hired 2 auditor IT interim.
okay. And those are under auditor?
As of right.
Right now, they are.
Yeah, but you bring them back?
I have to bring them
Okay,
back now.
Okay. Okay. No, that's good. I think it's good for everybody to, and I appreciate you giving us the details to it, so we're all, on the same page. We play a role in this process, we're the funding part of it. You guys are the technical part of it. Obviously, Frank, this is what you're doing. And I think this has been underinvested for years. We're in a large way, we're hitting this at a good time because IT's changing in the last 2-3 years. It's really fast forwarded to this cloud and getting away from this server thing, so we're kind of hitting it at the right time, but we're also playing catch-up, I think, from some standpoint. We're having to put a larger investment to get into that. We had talked, Chuck, about the possibility of being able to use ARPA funds to help kickstart this and fund this.
Yeah, you know, we looked at it, and ARPA does have a cyber component, and that's certainly something that can be looked at. My worry is, I think there are, and I'm offering this respectfully, I think there's other options for you with ARPA that at the end of the day give you exactly what you're looking for. I mean, you can use ARPA for safety forces with none of the strings and qualifiers of, for example, if we use ARPA money, everything has to follow a federal procurement standard. We haven't vetted all this for federal procurement standard. That could take months. If you use it for safety force salaries, none of that's required. And basically then salaries that are currently being deployed for that.
Yeah, we have all kinds
of
different requests for ARPA funds, that's not a problem, but I thought we were thinking maybe
So
we'd have to use some of the security stuff you were thinking.
You can, but we have to make sure then that each of these are vetted for the procurement requirement, because those are not exclusions. They're not excluded purchases.
Same the process made.
We're probably, this may be a 2024 initiative.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was not something that was perceived under the ARPA structure when it was originally proposed.
Okay.
But to that point, I think you have available right now to consume all of your ARPA money through safety force salaries. We're spending $9 million a year in safety forces. You do that for 2 years, and you spent all $18 million.
Yeah.
And then that just becomes carryover for the general fund to use for whatever you determine to be required. I think that's a cleaner approach, and it has no string other than the requirement of safety.
Well, thanks for coming in. Long time coming to upgrade this, so appreciate it.
Thank you. What else, sir?
I'd like to bring up the topic of resource officer in this building. We have 240 employees here, Job and Family Services and things like that, and a lot of buildings like this have a resource officer. So I'd like to make a motion to have the sheriff's department have their system come in here and control it, and we just add to their budget, and then they take care of the resource officer here for 10 hours a day. So that's my motion, and not to exceed $150,000 a year.
So you have a motion. Do we have an agreement? Have we talked to anybody or the sheriff about this?
Talked to the sheriff a little bit, and then just, Jim Flay said we don't need an MOU. Jerry, could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I had talked to the sheriff and Deputy Rowan a little bit about this, and we went about $123,000 for the deputy. Maybe that was based on 40 hours, but when we were looking maybe do 50 hours, do 7 to 5 instead of 8 to 4:30. So that number will go up some. We did throw together an MOU, and just kind of quickly, just so we can define what, who's responsible for what, and what's going on there. There would be an additional cost. Initially, we had to get the phone down at the front desk and computer and get that set up to be able to monitor the cameras throughout the building, so we can see what's going on. So there's additional upfront cost for us to get those done. But Jim Flays did comment that it doesn't need to be an MOU, and I just want something in writing. Sheriff Hildebrand and I talked after a JFS meeting last week, and just kind of decided let's just do it through email, so that it documents what who's doing what, rather than having an official MOU.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think we need to do something there. Just the other day there was an issue out in the lobby or outside, and I think Deputy said it'd be called in. So I believe having that just sitting there vacant, empty, is not the answer. But I would like also to be a clearly defined responsibility of what's going on there. Obviously, we just don't want somebody just sitting there burning time all day either. I don't know if there's a way to do, dual purpose there where they're doing, maybe some other type of responsibility or job function throughout the day other than just, I don't know.
on that with regards to what the sheriff's deputy
Yeah.
permitted to do under their contracts, or union
Well,
contracts and such.
I think we have, with this new building, I think we have over 160 cameras, and nobody's viewing them. I mean, the officer, just my perception of officer could get here 7 in the morning and start to check all the entrances, review the late afternoon or the night cameras before, and always have somebody down in the main lobby. There's just the potential of something going very negative is there.
No, I agree.
That's my concern.
I agree. And, until it's needed, nobody thinks they need it, right? But once that event happens, then everyone will be asking why you didn't have somebody there.
And
Scott, what's your impression, or what's your take on all this? I mean, I know you do it at the courthouse, which is kind of a different animal there, but in today's day and age, I know with Job and Family Services here, with Child Protective, custody and all these different things happening in this building, what do you think?
Well, Jerry and I have talked, and that's what needs to happen. We need to get a computer down there, we need to get a big monitor so we can monitor these cameras. We need to get a phone so that somebody can call. I mean, you've got these emergency buttons around, but they don't go. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not going anywhere.
right.
And we're gonna keep them busy. I mean, that's the idea. And maybe, they're gonna walk around once in a while or whatever. I mean, it can be a fluid thing. We'll figure it out. But the idea is when you walk in that front door, they're gonna see a deputy. And that's gonna maybe change your mind whether you wanna do something.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing. And we'll figure it out. We'll make it work.
Okay.
So let me ask you, is it going to be a situation that we're going to have where people are going to come through a metal detector, or what's the foresight on this? And it's just, because at the end of the day, somebody walks past the deputy with a, firearm in their pocket and comes up here, it's like, what's the checks and balances other than, having that? I mean, there's got to be a process that makes sense. What's your thoughts, Scott? I mean, as far as that, because, we've got 3 floors here, so it's just, just coming by and, saying, hey, where's the 3rd floor? And the deputy says it's upstairs, and he walks in and something happens, or, so I guess at the end of the day, we should have something that's got to be sensible. And I know your concern, Jim, that brought this up is that, someone supposedly had a firearm in the building. And, so if that is the case, then it's got to go above and beyond just the deputy, because that's not going to solve your problem if somebody's just going to walk past and still be able to go into Jobs and Family Services or come and visit you or something, we got to have it make sense,
I totally agree with you, Ralph. But I think this could be phase 1, and maybe in 2-3 months we'll have a metal detector there as well. I like that idea.
I mean, what's your thoughts, Scott? I mean, I know that we've had this issue with the auditor's office. I remember, frankly, bringing that up. Remember that he was just, and I look at it over at, because that's the other thing too, is when you got a prosecutor's office, basically the elevator opens up right to the front door of the prosecutor's office, correct, Chuck? And as far as for your office, there's still, and this goes right back, and I'm not going to beat this dead horse, but this goes right back to my whole thing of, we would have done this kind of in that systematic way of phasing this out, we would have had, the facility that we would have had the ability to have reduced our funding to have good security that would have covered multiple offices if we would have consolidated in a different manner. But what we're going to end up doing is, it's going to be a big undertaking of cost. We're going to have, because I guess my feeling is if we're gonna do it here, then why isn't the prosecutor's office and the auditor's office have a plan in place for them also? I mean, Chuck, Frank, you could comment on it too. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Well, I think, I think you're right, but we do have different draws from the public. You know, this building tends to draw a lot more public participation.
Right.
Mine is a little different. I am concerned because I do have board meetings, BOR and Budget Commission, where it is open to the public.
Right, and it could get heated.
Yep.
You know, somebody comes in and they're upset because, you know, they're getting gouged on taxes and they feel that this is wrong and all of a sudden.
We don't use the word gouge, but yeah, we.
You know.
Yeah. But I think you know, I think to Jim's point, I think there's steps. And for example, you know, we didn't have key card access to any of my building before we put it in last year to one section. And now we want to expand that to the other departments because I'm in 5 different locations. I think those are baby steps. You take key card access, at least gives you some protection, except when you open it to the public. And how we fix that, I'm not sure. But, you know, we're stuck with a 200-year-old building that you've got what you got. And I don't know that that's, I don't know that the solutions are exactly identical of this building versus the square. I don't know.
Right, and I just think that, you know, my other concern too is having one deputy by himself in a situation. He's basically, you know, that's not a safe environment either. You know, I think that Scott, you would probably agree, you know, just having one deputy to be able to do this, you know, has a confrontation in the lobby and then what, you know? I'm just saying there's a lot of variables in this, and it's not, it's just, there is no magical answer to it. But I think that, you know, if it's gonna be done I think there's gotta be a complete plan in place that this is gonna be, you know, we're gonna have, if it's going to be a metal detection entry point, you know, then we have to be able to look at it as that. And then when we're in a situation is that, you know, if we're in a position that we're concerned about viewing cameras, that deputy is not going to be able to continuously be able to view cameras while he's checking people in. You know, and so there's just a lot of these issues that are in place that I just don't want to make a bad decision in the sense that it's not a planned process. I think that it's a valuable concern. You know, I know we've spent a lot of money here within this building to try to make areas more secure from being able to have a situation of, you know, vulnerability. You know, and there was a lot of money that was put into place with the key cards and a lot of the different things that you guys have done, you know, even through your office to assist this. But I'm just thinking is, you know, how, you know, what else can we do? And then, you know, just to be able to make sure that, you know, this is done right, you know, because I think that there's a value to it, but I think that the traffic needs to be possibly, you know, figured out how it's going to be done at the entryway. If there's going to be a metal detector in place, and then obviously we need to look at, you know, securing some of our other, you know, county buildings too. So I want to, you know, and here's the thing is the sheriff's office is 100%, you know, capable of being able to do this, and I wouldn't want to have anyone else here. You know, I know that some of the county offices hire security departments. That's not the way that we're going to do this. We're going to hire, you know, and it's going to be in coordination with the sheriff's office because at the end of the day, we want to have that direct communication with the sheriff's office. But I think that this is good that we're talking about it. But, you know, you know, Sheriff, do you agree? I mean, do you think that we should try to lay out some kind of like a plan with what we do, or do we just basically just start to put somebody down there? And then the other thing too is manpower availability. Is it going to be, you know, did it take you a little bit of time also to be able to readjust for that?
Well, this is a start, and we're ready to do it. We've already, you know, put it out there if anybody's interested.
Okay.
Because the conversation's been, you know, all along. You know, the problem is, it's like when we're looking at the new courthouse. Everybody, including employees, are going to have to go through that magnetometer. And that would be very difficult to do in this building.
because you've got so many employee entrances, and let's face it, you know, more than half the time, when there's a disruption, it's because of an employee, or disgruntled employee, or whatever. So that would be very difficult in this, I mean, you can do it, but it would be very costly and very difficult. And I think that this is a good start, and then we can go from there and see what we think and see what you guys think and see how it works.
And you think that dollar amount you came up with, what was it, 125,000 or 100? That's a, what is that for? Is that 2 salaries or?
That's salaries and benefits.
Salary and benefits.
And then because it's a 50-hour week, we're gonna have to fill that other 10 hours with a part-time person. But most of the time, it's gonna be the same, you know, there's gonna be one deputy that's gonna do, you know, 40 hours. But then he's gonna have vacations and, you know,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. And then that's how we do it in the courts, is they work 10-hour shifts, and then we fill that other 10 hours with a part-time deputy.
Okay.
So you'll be training 2 officers, maybe 3 for that particular job?
What's the question?
You'll be training 1, 2, or possibly 3 to do this task?
That's gonna be all part of the court services division.
Okay.
So, you know, those guys, they'll flip around, they're used to it, they know what they're doing. And
Do you want to take or you may already have, but an assessment of that workstation? I know there is a security room behind that station that has all the connections to, I don't know where it all goes, but whatever all that stuff is, and alarm systems and.
Well, yeah, that's Jerry and I have been talking about that, you know, we're gonna have to, I'm assuming there's a plug there for a phone. I'm assuming there's, you know, plugs there so you can plug a computer in.
Okay.
And then, I have no idea what the cameras are, and I don't think anybody does at this point.
Right.
I mean, we don't even know if they work.
Yeah.
Do they work?
There's 160 of them, you're gonna need like probably 10 monitors to watch.
Well, you know, and it's just like the courthouse, there's.
There's a whole panel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe they're motion sensitive, I don't know.
Yep.
You know, if there's no motion, then they don't need to look at it. But we gotta figure that out, it's all new.
And I'd like to research the ARPA funds for police officers too, because if that's the easiest route to take, then I'd like to research that.
So would we, so possibly we could use ARPA for that, you think, Jerry? Yeah. Okay. It is security, so. Okay, well, I'm in favor of, you know, researching this further and getting the ball rolling for sure. I just don't know what the end product will look like, you know. Again, we just don't want somebody just sitting there to sit there. It's gotta be, you know, a defined purpose, exactly what they're doing. And that's not my specialty, so we're gonna rely on you guys to be able to do that.
So how do we sit with this, then you want to put together something, Jerry, for next week?
Well, I'll continue, with staff will go back and forth, so get everything detailed on what it is.
Okay.
I don't think we necessarily, because we don't need an agreement, it's not necessarily something we need to come back to the board. I would just need something from the board saying, move forward with that, and we can start working on getting the appropriations transferred over on that too.
Okay. So just to be clear, so if we approve this motion, that'll give you the ability then to get this rolling.
Yes.
We need to find clear what that.
Yeah, that's what.
Right, that's why I would just so that it's a little more decisive and clear. I mean, do you want to try to just put something together for next week that we could review something a little more clearly so that we just have something to...
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that for next week.
Okay, let's do that.
Clear motion on what everything needs to be.
And then also, Sheriff, then we could just work with you as far as just giving us some ideas of what you think, and almost set up a security plan for the building for us to be able to just have something in place for that, so that everybody kind of knows, and, you know, some of these doors that have access. And I think, you know, the other thing too, you know, like, and you got a valid point with the employee part of things, is that, you know, that is, I mean, you're 100% right. I think that's truly a concern with the employees. And, you know, is it a situation where we try to control some of the entry points also, you know, for an employee? You know,
Well, I think to some extent they are limited, employees are limited going into only, you know, the areas where they are supposed to work. It's not like, you know, even our cards, I can only come
but like
up
the
here.
exit doors, you know.
But I can only come in certain ones.
Right.
You know. Like, I don't even know if I can go to floor 2 through the stairway, you know what I mean? I don't, you know, like if I even tried to, I don't know if I could.
You can't.
Yeah.
Not be set up that
But it would be good to, like, what I think what Ralph is saying, to have a security plan put together that, for this building, you know. You know, I mean, obviously the presence of a sheriff's deputy sitting there is a pretty strong signal, but, you know, I think there's more to it as well.
I think by creating this plan, we're gonna learn a lot. Because a couple months ago, there was
And
a,
it's gonna change, and quite frankly, nobody wants to go down there and sit there for 40 hours and not doing anything.
Right. And nobody,
You
yeah.
know,
Right.
we're gonna have things to do, we'll think of things to do,
Okay.
you know, we're gonna keep them busy, otherwise, nobody's gonna wanna do it.
No.
Right.
You know, so, you know, like I said, this is a new venture in this.
Because we were actually thinking originally when we were building that down there and designing it, that would be more of a receptionist area, informational area, ombudsman that would help walk people through the building to get them where they gotta go, and informational more so than security. I think that, or at least that was my perception.
Which, to be quite honest with you, I mean, that this is going to also be able to assist with that.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
what
guess-
I'm getting at.
Yeah, you gotta look at it as, we were gonna probably spend X number of dollars to try to hire for that position to begin with. That, you know, when they come in, they're gonna say, you know, where's the building department, they're gonna be able to say third floor, you know,
Right.
turn right or turn left or whatever. And it's gonna kind of, so I guess, I'm not trying to make it sound better or, you know, more of a deal, but we're saving money in the sense that we're probably gonna be able to utilize that position to kind of accomplish that part of what we were struggling with anyways. When people come in, you know, how many times do people go to a county building that are residents? Maybe, you know, once every few years, they come in, where's this at? And it's, so I think that this is a big advantage to having that also, you know. So I totally think this is a good idea, and I think that we need to, you know, let's just try to finalize something for next week then that we could try to move on, and then we'll get that going, so.
All right.
we've even been approached by Destination Jogga that they'd like to have a flyer station down there. But I told them, me personally, that I wouldn't want anybody down there without a resource officer, someone with a uniform and a badge and everything else. So we could possibly, after the resource officer is in place in a couple of months, then we can have somebody come in with our approval, of course, somebody like Destination Jogga to help with directions and maps of the intriguing things in Jogga County. So I think this opens up a lot of good things, good positive things.
Do they have a brochure, like, in 470 that's been in the lobby since I started? And it's still there.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something that she was actually like referring to, is like moving that one over here into the area.
I'll follow up on that.
Because it's a brochure back for all the businesses that are part of Destination Jogga, that are members, and they actually keep it stocked. They come in and they swap stuff out and update the brochures and that kind of stuff. And currently, it's still in the lobby at our office at 470.
Okay, I'll follow up on that. Thanks.
All right. Well, I think that's good. We'll get that accomplished.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?